Well, hey there, guys. It's Don from Paul's Garden Journal. And, I'm speaking to you today from inside this beautiful new small little greenhouse. Um, just trying to see how it works. But when I'm in here out of the wind and I'm in here out of the cold, we're down around the mid 40s for our highs right now in Georgia. And they're forecasting a huge winter storm coming in this weekend. So I'm trying to put some finishing touches on. Got it airtight, so we're good shape there, I think. And I don't have any seeds planted just yet. Uh, but it got me thinking about some things, and I'd like to just kind of throw them out to you in case you haven't thought about it. Because if you watch my videos, let me just look at my note here a minute. One thing I want to tell you to do: start simple. If you've never had a greenhouse, which this is my first time of doing it, I don't try to get too elaborate, and certainly building it yourself, that kind of limits you to what you can do. And but start simple, keep it simple. In this case, it's all natural. I don't have any heat, I don't have any electricity, I don't have any water. I'll have to bring all that in. The water is only about 40-50 feet away over there in my well, so I can run a water hose in here as it gets to that point. But for the beginnings, that's just about as simple and basic as you can get. And that's kind of what I'm looking at doing today. And of course, along with building this thing, a couple other things that's kept me kind of busy as well, for a little bit in each afternoon when it gets fairly warm and I can get outside. There's a couple of those right now. Some things I've been working on. Of course, one of the biggest things I have to do right now, or just finished doing, was cleaning out the hen house and getting all that manure and old droppings out of there and the old wood chips, and take those and throw them across the aisle over to my compost piles. And I covered those up with leaves and mixed them all in together while I was at it. And of course, once I got finished, I put in a fresh layer of wood chips in the hen house about 6 inches deep, which will help them stay warm during this winter season. So looks like we're ready to roll there. One of my other chores, I won't call them projects, but chores that I have to do this time of year, is to prune back my muscadine vines, my muscadines and scuppernongs. With this wheelbarrow full right here are all the clippings that I got off of these vines. I have a 40-foot long muscadine. This is, you see the trunk coming up from the ground. What we're just looking at is 10-foot strand of it here and a 10-foot piece of it here, arm of it running out. This post is my midway post. You don't see a trunk going out of the ground. This starts my scuppernongs, and I've got 10 foot there. Goes back to the trunk of the scuppernongs, and then another 10 foot will extend on past this. But you can also see I've got about 2-inch pieces left on the main trunk going down the vine. That's for don't cut it back too short. Well, one of the things we want to talk about is, in setting this thing up, is how to set it up. What do you put in there? And for me, basically, I'll see if I can even show you everything. This is, well, there's not a lot in here, so I should say like everything. I'm standing at the front door looking toward the back, and that's about a good 8 feet away from where I'm at. So, here's the loop, the hood on it, and everything else. You see the shadows from trees that are close by. But I have a table here that's probably 6 feet long, easy. And it's just the right height for working, right about waist high. And I've already got me some seed trays. Now these are more like 4-inch pots almost. So I'm going to get some more for seed starting and then move them up to this once they get germinated. That's what I'm thinking right now. That'll save me on trying to fill all these up with soil for now. But do that. But you need to get some seed trays, some potting soil, and I don't mean potting soil. I mean, if you're going to start seeds, go ahead and spend the money and get a good seed starting mix. And do that, because Otherwise, you're going to have so much big chunks of wood and stuff in there that it just may not be beneficial to you. The other thing is, now here's some fig cuttings I've got set in here. They've been outside in the weather ever since I cut them. But in here, at least they won't get any frost on them anymore. They've done that a couple of times, and I'm just hoping that they didn't die. They don't seem to. They're still green looking. So we'll stay the course on that and see what happens, but at least I'll bring them in here and keep them out of the weather. The other thing is get you a good little spade or a good little shovel. Get your water wand so you can gently water your seeds once they get going. I'll hook that to my water hose, but I've got that, and certainly I can either run the water hose over here or get them in a watering can and sprinkle them, which is probably what I do at the beginning of this thing. But that's, for me, that's as simple as you can get, and that's the way I like to keep it. So we'll see how long I can do that. This is what thing I just did when I came back here, was to went to good old Tractor Supply and got me a thermometer to put inside here. I know our temperature outside right now on my porch out here is about 58 degrees, but if I get out in the yard somewhere, my overhanging porch catches the heat under there. But if I get out in the yard, we're looking around 48 degrees probably. So for this to say it's right at 78, almost 80 degrees inside here, that's a good 20, 25 degree swing, and that's just with the sunshine coming in. So we'll see how that plays out. I will track this for a while and see what my temperatures are like at night compared to what they're saying what we are. Probably the best thing I'll do is walk back here every morning and check before it gets too hot. I don't think I'll be getting hot for a while though. One other thing that we touched on in setting this thing up and getting it all prepared, you know, you might want to ask yourself, which I did as well, what am I going to use this greenhouse for? And maybe you've already figured that out before you go to all the trouble to build one. I didn't. I'm just like, hey, start seeds, do propagating, do this, do that. So I really didn't give it much thought. But now that I have it, how can I use it? And my plan for me is right now, this year will probably be nothing but starting some seeds and try to learn how to do that. And then maybe do a little bit of plant propagation as I try to root some things that are starting to bloom or starting to grow in the spring. See what I can do with that to get some of that to take. And we'll see what that goes, what that happens. But you know, in looking these things over, and I do watch a lot of videos on YouTube and trying to figure out how people are doing things. But a lot of folks do a greenhouse like this, and they actually use it during the winter time to grow their vegetables. They keep it heated, and they grow vegetables year round. Probably cold weather crops, but I haven't ever tried that. But it might be something that I'll look into doing next year once I get going and get things where I'm comfortable with them and see what we can do. And I found somebody else that I watched a couple on that put some racks in here, or racks or strings or whatever, wire, and they hang their plants in here, their flowers in here to dry, and hang them to let it dry the seeds. And so that may be something to look at doing. Maybe your peppers, you know, I've seen people string up peppers and let them dry. Peppers and onions, scallions, whatever. So I may give some of that a try as I go. But I'll keep you posted, and we'll see what happens there. So, but then, yeah, ask yourself that question. Yeah, I'm gonna build a greenhouse. What am I gonna do with it? That's key. That's key. If I'd asked myself that before I built mine, no more than I plan to use it right now, I may have talked myself out of doing it right now. But we'll see how that goes. Well, I think that's about going to be it for this thing. A couple things I want to just look as I look ahead. Some things I'm looking at doing, thinking about doing. Uh, I did some reading and found out the Amish don't use electricity, of course. How do they heat their greenhouses? And they use some old methods. A couple of which I'm going to try. One is I've got a 55-gallon barrel that I'm going to fill with water, set it inside here in one of the corners, paint it black, and it'll heat up the water in the day, and that'll give off the heat at night. Also, getting a couple of totes that are a couple of feet wide, a couple of feet long rather, and fill those up with active compost. Some things that are going through mixing your greens and your browns, and to get it started, and put it in here, and it'll help give off heat as the composting takes place. On a small scale, it's not going to be a big, huge compost bin, but it's something that might help do it just enough to get it up 5 degrees. Who knows? It might work out just fine. But for now, I think that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, not much to it, just something to think about, and I'm sure if you haven't thought about it, maybe it'll trigger something in you that you'll have some questions to ask, and we can both get together on, yeah, hey, how do we handle that, or what do we do? But anyway, happy gardening, and as we go into the seed starting season, I'm already anxiously looking at seeds and thinking about what I'm going to buy and what I'm going to do this year, and I've got some new plans and some new crops I haven't been growing. So we'll see how that goes as we get on toward planting season. In the meantime, I do appreciate each one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.